sun is setting in Tel Aviv tonight. I spent much of the afternoon walking around local areas here in Israel, asking local Israelis what it is that they thought about the massive demonstrations happening throughout the Middle East, throughout the Arab world this last week. Specifically today, massive demonstrations happening in Egypt calling for the resignation of President Mubarak. Many of the Israelis that I spoke to said that they sympathize with the Egyptian people, while others said that any sort of shift of power would cause a threat to the current Egyptian-Israeli peace agreement. Here's what they had to say.
I'm impressed by the people, actually.
Of Egypt?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because it looks like it just came from the very poor people and people that really suffer, and they all came together, which understood maybe because of Tunisia that they have the power to make a change.
The lot of policemen in Cairo all the time. How much is in control by force? So I don't know. So I think it's all the time very unsafe to balance, and we are all the time. I think the people in Israel needs this kind of control because we want something balanced. But it's always the situation that the balance is kind of occupation.
What would probably happen is the people that would be taking charge in Egypt are probably Muslim Brotherhood, and they are the brainchild of Hamas. So there's a risk that you have the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas coming together in Gaza and Egypt, and that's not a pretty picture for Israel.
The people want to be free there. They want democracy. I think they said because I hope that this is not fundamentalism like Iran.
It's really sad to see.
Actually, I think there's a glimpse of hope or something.
But other than that, there's a glimpse of hope. I know there's poverty there, and a lot of people are out of the job. And
I wish here we had more democracy.
Maybe Mubarak will fall down, but I don't see a democracy being established in Egypt in the near future, or in Tunisia for the same interest. It's I understand these people are fed up with the rulers because the rulers do not pay much attention for their needs, and I am very empathetic about this revolt. On the other hand, there may be Islamic powers that can be the next dictators, as it happened in Iran.
I believe that if the people make a change, it makes their life better, and in the long distance, it will improve with everything, and for us also. This is what I believe, but I'm not the majority.
Any kind of connection, any kind of talk between the different countries is going to be jeopardized now.
What do you think about the people that are in the streets asking for their human rights to be met?
They definitely deserve it. Nobody's going to say no. Let's take their human rights, but that's what the people want. What do their leaders want is something else. I've been to Egypt and people said, "Oh, we're cousins. Come to my shop. Look at my stuff."
Exactly.
But people who were officials or police or stuff like that, they're very suspicious. Like they still consider it enemies. So
What do you think is going on?
I think it's terrible and scary. I think it's almost unreal. I think it's people upset with their circumstances, looking for change.
How do you think it'll affect Israel-Arab relations?
Probably negatively, like most things do.
And I just see it like the left wing, the more liberal population, is joining with the Muslim Brotherhood, and in the end, the Muslim Brotherhood is just going to push them over to the side.
What do you think about what's going on in Egypt?
well, I think it's a good thing. I think it should happen a long time ago, and I hope it will happen in more countries.
They want their freedom. They want work. They have academic men.
that don't have a job. I think that they are right. Some change must be. That's my opinion.
Regime change would happen in Egypt. What would that mean for Israel?
I think it means maybe a more friendly country, another country that will support democracy and even influence Israel in a positive way. I hope.
Really sure.
Not think that's what would happen, but
I'm personally not sure, because change isn't always a good thing. So
You've been following the news. What do you think about the civil unrest in Egypt?
I don't know actually. Because after the mess in Tunis, all the Arab countries that they have, they don't have a democracy. I think they all try to resist the government, but I think the big revolution needs to come from Iran, not Egypt. And I'm afraid of this revolution in Egypt because we have peace with Egypt. And for example, if the Muslim Brothers, you know who they are? If they take over the government, in 2 or 3 years we're going to have a war here. And nobody wants a war.
Not really surprising. Food prices are going up and the people are very poor. And the average Egyptian, I think, lives on only a few dollars a day. And they subsist on subsidized grains, and all the prices of basic foodstuffs are going up.
How do you think it's going to affect Arab-Israeli relations?
I don't think it'll have much of an effect. I don't think the Mubarak regime is going to be overthrown. It seems like he has the support of the military. We saw with Iran, they were able to suppress much larger demonstrations fairly easily. I don't think there's going to be much of an effect. I think that all of the poor countries in the area are going to be much less stable because you have more people that can't afford to live. But
do you sympathize with the people in the streets of Egypt?
I sympathize with people that have trouble feeding their families everywhere. It's not an easy situation.
And they say, it's the Facebook revolution and all that, but it all depends. It can go either way. Say like it's gonna be the greatest thing ever happened to Egypt or Yemen or Tunis. You need to be very, very careful about that. There's a lot of people raising hopes, and it might not go that way.
The relationship between Israel and Egypt will be worse, I think, after the revolution.
Israel have a good time with the Mubarak. Have a good time. Maybe for Israel, maybe it's a wrong thing if Mubarak was not in the how do you call it, in the
power.
Yes,
but
the president. Yes. Maybe it's not good for us. That's my opinion.
So what's good for Israelis and what's good for the Egyptians can be two different things.
Yes.
No, I don't know.
You haven't been watching the news.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening.
You were saying?
Change has to happen. And I hope when it works out it will be good for Israel. But change has to happen in the Middle East. There's terrible things, terrible unemployment. People aren't eating. And they're rich countries. That's all. They don't have anything like our democracy. They just don't. So as much as we complain about our situation, it's still a democracy. And I think at this point in history, the world has to move in that direction. That's all.
Thank you.